of action.
Well, hello there. Welcome to the Friends of GeoMUG series.
Is that what we're calling it? Is that official?
Well, it's on the website, so
Okay.
let's just leave that up for being subject to change.
Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good day. Whatever time maybe you are viewing this video, but we're very pleased to have our inaugural guest to the Friends of GeoMUG series, Mrs. Rachel Whedon.
Hi,
Rachel?
everyone. Yep.
So what we were hoping to do today is learn a little bit more about Rachel, right? Obviously talk about GIS, but also we want to have a little bit of fun today as well. So I've had the pleasure of working with Rachel during my time at Esri. I believe I was trying to do the math on that today, Rachel. That was 11 years ago I started at
That's
Esri.
right, yeah.
Yeah, which is absolutely wild. But would you want to take some time and just introduce yourself and however you might want to do that?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me to do this. It's something unique and different. I've never had this type of conversation before, so I'm looking forward to it. And I hope, like you said, it is something that's
Me neither.
informative and fun for everyone. So I probably have met a lot of the folks that might stumble upon this. I've worked at Esri for almost 20 years, and most recently my role is as the Mid-Atlantic Regional Manager. Esri has a Philadelphia office location, and that's where I work. I have a team of about 15 people that support state and local government customers in the Mid-Atlantic region. So if you're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, New York City, DC, we've probably run into each other. So that's really the primary part of my role, but there's a lot more to it that I'm hoping to get into as we go a little bit further in our conversation.
And how many, I'm sorry if you said this, but how many years have you been working for Esri?
I've been at Esri for 19 years. So I started
That's
in
amazing.
2004. Yeah, so.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's a long time. I don't know that I ever thought I would have this much longevity in one job. So pretty
And when
exciting.
you mentioned the area, your geographic representation, I know you've traveled all over the country, heck, probably the world, but that'd be an interesting poll to do to see how many viewers of this interview, right, have actually come across you in one form or fashion over such a long career.
I guarantee you there will be a couple of hits that we'll get from like random international places, and we'll be like, why is someone from Estonia watching this? It's always the way, right?
Right, anything on the internet, right? It's open to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's, you're touching on something there. That's something we're trying to do at the Geospatial Mid-Atlantic User Group here, is just try to add different or more modern touch points, right? Because it is very exciting to see that, in-person conferences and user groups, right? I think they're back, right? And obviously we're talking about after the pandemic, but we realized that we decided as a board, right, that we needed to just up our game a little bit. So let's get creative and create a YouTube channel, right? A GeoMUG YouTube channel. So a lot of you viewers might not even know that we have that, right? Or use some Esri hub technology, right, and create a website, right? So we're just trying to find different ways to engage with people, and I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit more throughout our time here together.
Yeah.
But we're so appreciative of you taking the time to join us today, Rachel.
Of course.
So you're ready to dive in? Go ahead. Yeah.
I got a question. So when you both were at Esri, whose was whose boss?
Rachel
was my boss.
I had to ask.
Correct.
So
absolutely, she was.
I think I helped hire Jason. I think I was one of the
good.
people that helped hire Jason. Yep.
She did that, and that interview process was so intimidating, but it also was awesome and fun. But yeah, I do remember Rachel interviewing me, and she was part of the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic leadership team.
That's like threatening. You guys do it with a whole panel? Is that how Esri does it?
We've
Or is it like,
changed over the years.
okay,
When Jason interviewed with Esri, we were going through a phase where we thought, let's do some role playing and let's bring in this person who wants to work at Esri as an account manager and let's create a sales scenario.
oh,
And there will be
interesting.
a bunch of people around the table who are pretending to be different roles within this organization. And let's see how Jason handles what's thrown at him. Which
Was that? I would like
Obviously
to
he
add
handled
though
it. He was there.
that, well, yes, I got the job, right? But that was after individual one-on-one interviews.
You're right. Yes, you're right. That
I
was
had
the
to
second
clear
phase,
that
yeah.
kind of level, right?
Yeah,
Like,
stage
all
one.
right,
Yeah.
maybe this guy can help us. And
Nice.
that is what I was very intimidated with was, okay, they're giving me, here's the synopsis of what they're looking for, right? This is who you are, Jason Seeley. This is who we're going to be. So I at least knew who, what roles were going to be there when I got there.
Right.
And a fun fact, feel free to edit this out later if you want. But I remember asking another person in a position of leadership randomly on a lunch after I had been hired. I asked them, when did you think or know that you were going to hire me? And they said, when you put place cards down in front of us. Because here's a little trick, right? For college students, maybe it'll work for you, maybe it'll work against you. But I took the time to just do those little, like what you'll have at your dinner table, right? To
Yes,
seat markers or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wrote down CIO or whatever, right? GIS manager, blah, blah, blah. And I assigned them who they were.
You embraced it. That's what it was.
I did.
Yeah,
I
good
did.
move.
I
Yeah,
tried.
you embraced
Right.
it.
So
As scared as I was.
So of course I'm gonna have to ask the hard question because that's what I do. Is a lot of people say that you no longer work there, right, Jason? You're not there
Right.
anymore, and like 50% of people leave because of their manager. So I mean, hey, this is why
I
this
am
is
the
what
other
makes good
50%.
content. So
Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot, but like
do you think if I felt that way, I would have Rachel as our esteemed guest today?
this makes
I
good.
Maybe
gotta
not the
push
best
back a
choice
little
for
there,
a
but
first.
This
Yeah.
makes for good content. That's why I had to ask the question.
no, absolutely not. My leaving Esri had absolutely nothing to do with my
Okay.
manager, thankfully.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's rare. It's rare. That's why. I mean, it happens. So just
Maybe turned
just
red
asking.
already, I think.
I know.
Good. Hey, I did my job. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's keep moving forward.
Well, in fact, we missed Jason so much we welcomed him back for a short period as well.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
that means a lot. That says a
Yeah,
lot.
I had a little sabbatical in the middle.
Yep.
Thank you, Rachel, for
Oh,
saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Sorry. We'll keep on track. Sorry.
Yep.
We don't know what our track is, so we're on it still,
This
Brian.
is just part of it. I mean.
So, okay, Rachel, are you ready for some core hard-hitting questions?
Yes, I'm prepared and ready.
Awesome. So we'll start easy and then we'll ramp up. They're all easy.
Okay.
How long? You said 19 years at Esri.
Yep.
And you can answer this question however you want, but how long has GIS specifically, right? How long would you say GIS has been a part of your day-to-day life? So in one way or another, you've been using GIS on a daily basis.
I'm gonna dial the Wayback Machine back to 1999 for everyone. So what's that? 24 years.
Awesome.
That was when I got my first GIS job. So obviously I was learning about GIS in college, and it was a part of my life, but not in a solid way. It was in that academic way. And I wasn't sure as a college student how that would all pan out. You never are. You have a lot of insecurities about, is what I'm studying going to materialize? And so I think when I got my first job doing GIS right after I graduated from college, that's when GIS became, I would say, more so a part, like not just a part of my day-to-day, but my first job out of college was doing parcel mapping for a county. And I don't know if any of you have ever done that sort of like repetitive data editing, data entry work. GIS was not just a part of my waking hours, it was a part of my sleeping hours. I would dream about snap errors and dangling nodes and all sorts of,
But
parcel
that
mapping
didn't
errors. Yeah.
scare you away.
No, it
obviously
motivated
didn't
me.
scare
I was
you
like,
away.
I have to not be a parcel mapper forever. I have to move onward. Yeah. But yeah, that was the kind of the start of my career, in GIS. Yeah.
Now, when you referenced college, that was your, so that line of work was your first job out of college.
Yes.
When you were in college, was, GIS, geography, whatever courses, coursework it was called back then, was that a major, a minor? Was it just like a glowing interest in a random class that you took?
Yeah. I
Um,
mean,
I just
I was
wanted to give our audience kind of an idea about, right? Because I have a communication studies major, right? Right, or degree, forgive me. And I've had this amazing kind of journey. Like people come from all sorts of backgrounds and degrees, and a degree doesn't necessarily define you. So I was interested in learning more about that.
Yeah, pretty traditional for a GIS professional in that my degree is in geography. And I was lucky enough to be at Penn State University, and they, have always been out in front when it comes to technology curriculum. GIS, was right there in the beginning. So as a geography major, I did take a lot of GIS classes. I think I could have had maybe a minor or a certificate or something like that, I think is what would have been offered. I didn't go that route.
Sure.
But just had enough coursework to know that, hey, this is a skill that can,
Right.
an
I want to
employable
tap into
skill.
this more.
Yeah. Tap into
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was value there.
It didn't, I don't know that anyone goes to college with their sights set on being a geography major. Like that's probably not people's first stop a lot of times. Or,
Sure.
just that discovery process. I know a lot of us have been through of, uncovering what does it mean to study geography? What does it mean to pursue that degree? And it's oftentimes, I think a lot different than what people expect. And so that was a really fun thing to explore too. And just the variety of coursework. It wasn't all focused on technology. There was, so many different aspects of it that I really enjoyed learning about.
You made me think of a memory. And I think I've shared this with you in the past, but I was extremely interested in GIS when I was in high school, but I didn't know it was GIS. And what I mean by that is I was born and raised in a small town that I've left, and now I've come back to live in. It's a great area, great school. But I never was exposed to like GIS in a form of GIS.
Right.
Career days or whatever, the school was trying to bring in to expose kids to as we were, sophomore, junior, senior year, trying to figure out what college we're going to. But I do remember that I absolutely loved maps. I loved it. I was good like at geography and earth science and all those types of things, right? Because I liked it and it made sense to me.
Yeah.
And I really, really loved technical drawing. So maybe I was meant to be a parcel snapper.
Right, a parcel snapper. Not too late.
There's still time. But that was one of the reasons I loved, like, I didn't realize that until I was working at Esri. I'm like, oh my God, I loved GIS, right? Before I knew what GIS even was.
Yeah.
And I guess that leads me to my next question is, can you even think of a moment? Like, were you, not if you were exposed to GIS, but like, when did you know you wanted to get into GIS for a career? Was it in college there, like you said, or earlier?
No, definitely not earlier. I remember, I had thoughts of graduating with a science degree from Penn State. I wasn't sure if it would be biology or chemistry or what, but ends up it
But
was
that's
none of
how
those
you came
things.
in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really challenging, like the academics for those programs. It was just, as a freshman at college, it was just overwhelming, the level of like hard math classes and the course schedule was just crazy. It was one of those things where I'm like, okay, let me be realistic here. Am I going to be successful at this? It just seemed like a really big uphill battle. So I remember a conversation with, I think it was one of my English teachers at the time. and just talking to him about that and saying, I really love science. I want to pursue something there. At the same time, I know I have skills in these other kind of non-hard science areas. English class was one of my
Right.
favorite. But what is there that's kind of that intersection between the two? That was something that I was kind of like trying to explore on my own, but had asked him for help, and he said, you should swing over to the geography department. I was like, okay, what's that? And at Penn State, the geography department shared a building with the geology department, which is more well known. Everyone knows what geology
Sure.
is and what geologists study and what they do. And so I kind of was a little uncertain about his recommendation, but met with a couple of the professors, learned about some of the classes, and it was just eye-opening. Again, just the variety of topics that were there, and it was that really perfect hybrid of like the arts and the sciences, which is what really attracted me to it. And then to learn that there was like a practical or a computer skill, because the other thing I did at Penn State was I worked in the computer lab. I was like one of the student
Okay.
assistants helping people when the printers broke and all that kind of stuff. So I'd always had an interest in just kind of like, hands-on computer stuff. And so yeah, it was just really neat to see that there were classes where all of those things came together. It just seemed like the perfect fit, honestly.
Yeah. And an important takeaway there, I think, for any, whether you're in college, whether you're pre-college, watching this, or even after middle of your career, it's so important to be open, right? Like you can have the reaction you had, like you did, right, to your I forget which professor it was, but
English,
somebody
yeah.
that your English professor that you trusted, right? And you're like, I don't know about this, like, but you did it, you tried it, you had a conversation, right? You were open
Yep.
to that, and that's easier said than done sometimes.
Yes, that's true.
So we know now that you work for Esri,
And have
right?
for a long time. Yes.
And have for a while. Off, this question came out of nowhere to me. How many positions have you had at Esri?
I think three. I think 3 positions.
Okay, that's not that. I thought you were going to say like
You thought it would
5
be
or,
more?
or
No.
7. I don't.
No, I think it's just 3. Yeah, we at least in the division I work in at Esri, there aren't many different job titles. The variety of the
Right.
things you do in the role can vary, but in terms of like specific job titles, there aren't too many. So yeah, I think that's probably pretty typical.
Right. And how, having the the experience that you've had at Esri, how would you describe the company's, what Esri does, or if you wanted to go with, what is Esri's mission?
Yeah.
I mean, I have some ideas in the back of my head because I used to work there, but I think that'd be really interesting to hear that coming from you.
Yeah. I think, what's neat, and right before I answer your question, I think that what we do and what our mission is are so intertwined, which is really, I think, the unique thing about working at Esri. On one hand, you could say we're a software company. We make the world's leading
Right.
GIS software. That's a true statement. You could say we're a market leader. We are a market leader in GIS and mapping and location intelligence. That's a true statement also. You could also think about how we enable organizations and to take a geographic approach. That's something that we do at our core. That's why we build the software that we build and why we enable people, so that we really see value in a geographic approach to problem solving. We think that the technology that we bring to the marketplace can support that same problem solving approach for everyone. And ultimately, I think what the most exciting part is, we can see that solving all sorts of problems, big and small. I work with customers who have very specific challenges they're working on, and it can seem, kind of small in the grand scheme of things. I have other customers who are working on things like climate change and resiliency, and whether it's a small thing or a big thing, I think Esri's mission is really about enabling everyone to use the geographic approach through the use of our software, through our technology.
I love that answer. I agree, for whatever it's worth to you or the audience. I
Yes.
100%.
I'm glad.
I 100% agree with your answer. But Brian, you want to jump in and say something?
Wasn't Esri started out as an environmental firm, like to begin with, before software?
Well, yeah.
Is
So
that true?
Well, it was always kind of software, the software was always the thing that enabled the type of environmental consulting that you're referencing. So it was this idea that, we want to, Jack and Laura Dangermond, when they started the company, they wanted to provide environmental consulting services, but they saw an opportunity to do so with technology, being able to model the world in certain ways to be able to provide a unique set of services. So the software was, kind of born out of that idea of there's probably a better way to organize and use technology to help in that
Right.
idea of a consulting practice. Yeah.
Okay,
But
I
it
see. Yeah.
was founded as a software company. Yeah.
Okay.
Which there aren't many, 50-plus-year-old software companies out there
No.
still knocking around. So that's pretty impressive in
No,
and of itself.
they're dominating. Yeah, it looks like it was like you said, it's a environmental management through technology. Is
Yep.
what they started as.
Yes. And actually,
Yeah.
I was, and our company is based out in Redlands, California, which is about an hour east of Los Angeles. Just picture typical kind of palm tree California town with mountains in the background. And last time I was out there, we were driving around, a colleague and myself, and he pointed out to that little house over there. That's the house where Jack and Laura started Esri. I don't know if it's true or not, but it really looked like it could have been. It was neat to see. Yeah.
You gotta try to verify that.
Right.
And that's when you and Brian were having that exchange. I was thinking about, like, I wonder if Jack and Laura had that vision, or I guess if there was a question I would ask them is that, hey, when you were doing this in your garage, in your home, whatever you were doing, right? Did you see it as something that would turn into what it's turned into, over the years here? It's really quite amazing. I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to answer that question other than to say I think that there must have been that understanding of potential, because
Right.
Jack's passion for this company
That
and the work that we
excitement.
do, it has to have been there forever. And just I can imagine how motivating that would be if you have this idea, you have this vision. You might not know the details of, obviously it develops over time, but I think that
Sure.
I would have to say that a sense of potential must have been there right from the get-go.
And you were touching on this, but the one of the coolest things I thought I knew before I worked for Esri, and then what I realized and learned while I was at Esri, is how broad and deep the applications go, the industries it goes, to where geography does matter and is making a difference, right? Regardless of, public sector, private sector, education, let alone all of the amazing or multitude of use cases, therein. It's I just didn't realize the breadth and depth of those many touch points that where Esri's making a difference. So cool.
Yeah. Well, it's really the end users, that you just kind of listed a few of. They're really the ones making the difference. We're enabling that, in a lot of different ways, I would say. But yeah, it's really the success, or the the variety of use cases that you see for GIS and for Esri software is really a result of people running with it, exploring and pushing the boundaries. And we're there to kind of meet them where they are and lead the way in certain ways, make sure we have the innovations that will help people get there. But the folks that are applying it are really the ones that are doing the hard work, of course.
I don't want to assume anything here, but is that what keeps you interested in the GIS field? For
I think it kind of touches on that a little bit. It is that idea of innovation. Any technology field is going to always just have that sense of change and evolution, and so there's always something new, right? It's like that probably in all of our jobs, whether we're kind of working with GIS or other types of technology. And so there's always that challenge of, let me learn what's new, or that excitement of, oh, that's a new idea I never heard of. So that's definitely a motivator, and you don't have to look very far. In fact, I'm sure that you're probably like me, where you have a list of things that you just want to get to, like, oh, I want to learn more about this. Oh, got to learn more about that. Would love to take a class on this. It's never ending.
Just whether or not you can do
grows.
it, or how many you can get after it. Yeah.
It's also like I read a lot in my book list to read. It keeps growing to the point where I'm not, there's just not
You're
enough
not
time.
taking them off.
I'm
It
not
just
taking
keeps
enough
getting
off.
mug.
I'm just building it. Yeah. So it's kind of that same feeling, and different people take that different ways. It could be overwhelming or discouraging that things move quickly,
Right.
and how can I keep up, or this feels too challenging to stay on top of. But I try to see it as a motivator, and I think what I've realized through my time at Esri, I started in a much more technical role than I am now. What I realized, it was a little bit of a growing pain, honestly, is I don't need to know everything. I don't need to master all the skills. Instead,
Right.
what I need to do is build a team or be a part of a team where together we can represent those skills that are needed. And so that's something that I deal with a lot when we will hire new people, or if I'm working with someone in a new position, another role, they feel that overwhelming challenge of like, oh, I haven't learned Python yet, or I still haven't had a
Right.
chance to be an enterprise administrator. No, but you have people who do that, or you all can take different parts of it, and together you've created a GIS practice at your organization. It's not all on one
Right.
person. I know a lot of people are teams of one, and so that has its own unique challenges. But when you can think more broadly about, okay, how can we be successful as a team? How do we cover the important things as a team? I think that's really almost like a freeing concept, right? You don't have to do it all yourself.
Right.
Yeah, I think you
I
hit it
totally.
there. I think you hit it there because I feel like it's more, at least for someone like myself too, it's more satisfying,
Mm.
to kind of have a collaboration, curate, and just put a lot of things together. And because like in the end, it's like, man, it's like if someone did it themselves, like nobody cares. Like I was like,
Yeah.
it's true to like you have one person just like I did that, then you have a group of people. It doesn't matter if it's something successful. Most people be like, who cares? It's like, but when it's a
Ryan, you
bunch of
just
people,
alienated all the solo artists out there
Oh no.
and
no, no,
GIS people
no.
that are, you just
But we're
totally
talking
alienated
about
like a
no,
quarter
but
of our
but I'm talking about when we're
viewership.
talking about this industry. Maybe there's certain, it's not really fair to compare individual sports versus team sports. It's not the same.
True.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as far as team sports comes, I think it's more satisfying, and I think that's like you said, not being in complacency. I know this interview about you, but it's the same thing for me. That's where my passion comes from. I think
Yeah.
the challenge of waking up to something different every day, and this industry is being, at least GIS to me, is so relevant. It'll take a long time to be not relevant. I don't even think of, it's because of
What does
these
that even look
things.
like? Yeah.
Yeah, it's because
Yeah.
of these things. I already know that I'm not gonna lie. Like, without it, we'll never have this, right? It's impossible to use these. So I think that's what keeps me going. It's like it's so relevant and that you can apply it and relate it to anything. And I believe that's what keeps me passionate about this industry. And you're pretty much speaking on that. That's exactly like how I feel too.
Yeah. That's good validation. And it's like you never, not just the technology, keeping up with the technology, but keeping up with all of the different use cases, maybe is kind of what you're hitting at too, Brian, is like there's always some new way it can be applied. So it's not just about new products or new capabilities, but it's like new application areas. Or maybe in my case, I was at a social event the other day, and I met someone who worked for the town that I grew up in, which is not too far away. And they were bringing GIS to the town. Like, how cool is that? The place I grew up. It's like wasn't necessarily the most innovative use case, or they weren't using the latest and greatest apps, but for me that was exciting because it was an innovation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you think about the industry, are there any trends right now that you're seeing that, excite you or maybe concern you, right?
Yeah. I was actually just talking with someone about a topic that I think fits this category really well. It is both intriguing and kind of, I don't know if concerning is the right word, but yeah, just kind of,
Right.
right. And
Something
that's
that
this,
makes you go,
right. And it's, we probably have all heard about Geo AI and the combination of GIS with artificial intelligence. And that's been in play for a long time. There are tools that a lot of you are already using that bring AI or machine learning workflows into your day-to-day work. That could be something as simple as finding patterns in your data with ArcGIS Pro. Machine learning and AI can be really pretty traditional GIS things. But there are some, I would say, newer patterns of AI and GIS that are really interesting to me, and one of them is around natural language processing. I was just having a conversation with a colleague about this. Everyone knows about ChatGPT, how you can ask questions and, it's almost like a human is responding, right? And, dear ChatGPT, help me write these interview answers for my call with Jason next week. And you get some really good content, through that ability for the computer to understand and process language in the same way that humans do. But you start thinking about how, okay, what does that have to do with GIS? A couple of things. Like I said, there are already tools now that can look at text-based um, text-based data and extract geographic information from it. So if you have a news article, you can pull out location or other attribute information. So that's pretty cool. And that really helps when people are challenged to work with all of the unstructured data in their organization. They could take it a step further. What if those same natural language processing tools meant that we could ask questions of our GIS? So what if we could ask questions like, how has this neighborhood changed over time? Or what's happening with the crime rate in this part of my city? And GIS would be in the background providing, crunching the data to provide the answers to that. That's pretty exciting. And then I take it another step, and when I'm just now kind of learning about it, is like the true value of something like this would be not just to answer the question that was asked, but to then provide information that you didn't even know how to ask yet. So if I ask, what day is my trash pickup? Tuesdays, 8 o'clock. But Monday's a holiday, so don't forget to put out your trash the following day. And there will probably be a 2-hour delay because we're, running behind or whatever. All of that information could be gleaned by processing the data to provide that level of information. So I think it's pretty exciting and could probably really help people with advancing the way that they use the data and the tools that they already have within their organization, but making it provide even more value, across the board.
That was an amazing response. I'm almost speechless. Is that, and I don't know if this is a separate question or you already answered it, but I wanted to ask you, where do you see, the future of this industry? And I know that's, maybe an unfair question or a loaded question or too broad of a question. I don't know if what you were just saying, I mean, I definitely think that's going to be a part of it.
I think it's one little lane of technology. But,
if you weren't sharing all that though, where do you see GIS going? Or,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like a, visionary. I don't have like, these big ideas that I'm, kind of actualizing, but I look at the past and I look at what has happened. And I think that's a great predictor. And thinking about the past, let's say 10 or 15 years, and you think about how much GIS has changed with the internet and with Web 2.0 concepts and with collaborative tools and simplifying the use of GIS. That's really democratized GIS in a way, right? We have such a different user base than we used to 15 or 20 years ago. When I had to take a GIS class to learn, it's like now there are people who are doing GIS, and that's because they're filling out a survey on their phone. So I look at that and I use that to kind of think, what would that look like next? What is, is it some of the things like I was just describing where people are asking questions of their data and they don't even realize that GIS is providing some context or some information in the background? Maybe GIS is kind of like a dial tone that's just kind of like baked into the workings of government, and just is kind of they're providing information, providing insight,
whether people realize it or not.
Yeah, without it needing to be an application that you open and use. I think it would be neat to see.
I agree with you. Well, Brian, I think we're going to move to quick hitters. Quick hitters question.
This is the part
Rachel, you've made it through the core questions of the interview. Unless you had something else, Brian.
Do you have a pre-list? A list of that?
Yeah, I didn't know if you had that. I can't.
Oh, you already had it ready to go? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
I was like,
buddy.
Man. All right.
Now, if you saw it, I know people saw my eyes darting around, but I'm trying to open up the Word document and still see you guys, right?
That's fine.
So I think I got it here. So Rachel, quick hitters are just,
Don't think.
basically this or that questions.
Yeah, don't think. Gut.
Yeah.
Just out of your
And
just your gut
and
feelings.
if
Boom.
so, Brian, I'm going to task you if there's anything we want to dig into, we can come back to
Yeah,
it.
I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm always listening. I got it.
All right. Are you ready, Rachel?
Go for it.
Okay. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Hike or bike?
Hike.
PC or Mac?
PC and Mac.
A- Android or iOS?
iOS.
I think I know the answer to this, but I could be wrong. Music or ebook or book or
Wait,
podcast?
I have to choose?
You have to choose like music. You got to lean one way or the other. Would you lean towards music or would you lean towards, reading or listening?
I guess a book. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to pause there. Do you have any recommendations for the audience for like a book you've recently read, the kind of, it could be totally non-related to GIS.
Yeah. Well, so good timing because I'm actually reading a book that my manager recommended us read. And I had read it a few years ago, but picked it up again and I'm going through it, which is Atomic Habits. Jason, Brian, have you read that yet?
I
Have
have
you taken
not.
a look at that?
I am writing it down.
Maybe Brian, you can look up the author's name for me. I think it's James something or other. But Atomic Habits is all about what are the practices in which we can use to either develop new or good habits in an area we want, or change not as productive or quote unquote bad habits. So you could think about this in your personal life, obviously. I want to get better at playing guitar, or I want to, whatever it is. But talking to my manager and my colleagues about it, just thinking about how this applies to our work and our careers and our profession has been a really interesting conversation. So just kind of thinking about how we can, following some of the science that's in the book, how we can really reconstruct, certain aspects of our life to really meet what we're trying to do.
James Clear, right?
James Clear, right? Yep, that's the one.
James Clear. 4 Habits.
Thank you for that recommendation.
And it's a pretty short book too, which is good audiobook format and reading. It's if you have a couple hours on an airplane or train or something, that's a good one.
Yeah, it looks like it's a good one. 4 Habits. Make it obvious, attract, make it easy, make it satisfying. It looks good.
Yeah, very practical.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So your manager wanted, or they recommended to all their staff? Is that?
Yes.
Oh man, I should start doing that. That's a good one.
Every once in a while, we try to.
Pressure's on, Brian.
Let's do like a book club.
I know my team's gonna be like, read.
I know. We'll have to people. Yeah.
And then you just say, well, you can listen, right?
That's true. Or podcast. Everyone listens to podcasts now. It's the same thing. It's no different.
And that's why I kind of said that, because I said ebook, book, or podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so, reading in quotes has changed.
It's all the same. Podcast is like radio station, radio show. It's all the same. Just marketing.
All right, back to the quick hitters. I totally ruined the first quick hitters because I did a sidebar.
It's fine. No, it's good.
So for future interviews, Brian, let's try to remember, just get through the quick hitters, Jason, and then we can come back to follow-up questions.
No, I think interruptions are good. I think interruptions are good.
All right, we'll have a sidebar about that.
I like it. We'll talk about that.
Kidding.
We'll talk about
All right, Rachel.
Okay,
back to the slow hitters, we're going to call them now. Okay, carpet or hardwood floors?
Hardwood floors.
I love that made you laugh.
Hold on. Y'all gotta stop. There's no more such thing as hardwood floors. It's LVP now.
What is it?
LVP, the laminate stuff. That's like the number one for building right now. That is like the thing. So
I'm
basically,
a traditionalist, Brian. No.
Yeah, no, they don't even sell. They don't even sell hardwood anymore. It's crazy. It's crazy. So basically, just real quick, again, we do put a sidebar. The big trend for building now, you could print anything you want. It's amazing, and it looks just like it. It is indestructible, waterproof, everything. It's like it actually costs more than hardwood, but that is like the new building material now.
Really?
Like hardwood is like done. Yeah, no one does that anymore. It's like, because hardwood's, I don't know, there's just too many bad things with it. But anyways, I know it sounds bad, right? Laminate is like better than That used to be like what you put in like laundry rooms, but now it's like a thing.
Give me
Anyways,
an old house. I'm not even thinking new
yeah,
construction. Give me an old house with the
it's
hardwood.
So Rachel,
crazy.
you're going with hardwood though.
Oh,
Yeah, hardwood.
absolutely.
Sorry, keep going.
Okay. All right. Where was I? Oh, oh no, is this my list? Oh, night or morning?
Morning.
Okay. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Rich and famous or rich and unknown?
I would say rich and unknown sounds pretty good.
Passenger or driver?
Driver.
Art museum or history museum?
History museum.
Car or bike?
Car.
Train or airplane?
Airplane.
High-end food or an experience? And what I mean by an experience means, would you rather go out and have like an amazing like dining experience, or would you rather do something like an event or an activity?
Probably the dining experience. Yeah.
Nice.
I think that is an activity. You don't need anything else.
And I had this is what made me pause in my list. We're unscripted here. I had why the headset.
Why?
So why do you choose that particular headset, and why does it work for you?
Very
Because
simple
you have been
answer.
using that for a while. Okay, here we go.
Esri issued equipment. This is what you get.
I thought she was gonna say because it looks cool.
Does it? I hope it looks cool. I don't know. I don't have a choice.
Does.
Okay.
It actually does look good.
Now I could. About the only option I have is to put the thing on the left ear or the right ear.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. So
I had one of those, but now I go with I finally found earbuds that like kind of fit and totally zone out anything around me. So it allows me to focus.
when I haven't gotten with Brian's like microphone kind of style there yet, but
Yeah,
maybe that's next.
we can aspire to be that cool. I think, Brian, was there anything there you wanted to drill in on that we didn't already? Out of the list, we talked about hardwood floors or the death of hardwood floors.
yeah, I was like,
Right. I'm sure people were tuning in for that. And
no.
oh, what else? I did it myself. What did I distract us with? Oh, the books. Yeah.
Mhm. It's interesting. Someone said on here, obviously I'm reading while you guys are fact checking stuff. They says Atomic Habits about ADHD. That's good. Is it about
It's what?
ADHD?
It's about?
No, is it about?
Oh, is it? You're reading comments on
Yeah,
the book
is it
Rachel
about
recommended.
ADHD? That's interesting.
That is an interesting question.
It is. I was like,
Maybe it can
okay.
help. I don't know.
Right. I think that's what they're trying to say here.
Maybe that's what they were trying to ask, right?
Yeah. That's pretty good. I'll listen to it.
So Rachel, do you have we've gone through a good list of questions here. We've learned about you, we've learned about your company, we've learned about your background. We had a little bit of fun here with a this or that. Do you have any questions for myself or Brian? I guess we'll try to flip it here. You can say no.
I got one question. Because it kind of goes with the quick hits. So besides, obviously it is all about GIS. What are you passionate about that's not GIS?
You're asking me or Jason?
Yeah. Yes, you.
That's a good question. There are probably a lot of things. I think about like where I spend my time, what I do with my time. It kind of came out in the quick hitters a little bit. The staycation. I'm
Gotcha.
passionate about being home with my family, passionate about, creating our life there. We have a house that requires a lot of work and a yard with a lot of space and a lot of gardening that needs to be done. So I spend a lot of time there. I really find that interesting. I love learning about that as kind of like a antidote to all of the tech work that I do. So That's probably where you'll find me if I'm not here in the office with my headset on.
Nice. Okay. It's like an
Do
outlet.
you
It's kind of like the
Yeah,
opposite. Yeah.
do you have any animals?
we
Rachel?
do. We have a dog,
Okay.
Jamie. We have a cat that we inherited when we bought our house. She lives on the
That-
property.
Oh wow.
That's
So
amazing. A
she's
cat
an,
just came
she's
with
an
that
outdoor
like
cat.
in the
That's
contract.
from the outdoor, right? Okay. I figured it was an
The,
outdoor cat.
the previous owners
Barn cat.
told us, they were like, by the way,
Just so you know.
yeah, just so you know. So
Not only did you get
Patches.
this beautiful house, but now you have this cat as well.
Yeah. And we have chickens. We keep chickens too, which is fun. We just got some new chickens this year, kind of built our flock a little bit. So yeah,
Is that
every season I always think, okay, this is the year I'm gonna get goats. It never happens.
What's
is
the
the
what's the appeal for goats?
Just think they're fun to watch.
oh, it's
Okay.
not for
I
the
don't disagree with that statement.
I thought it was to
But
take care of your weeds and all that.
Right.
well,
Me
that
too.
would be
That,
nice.
that too,
I
right?
love her answer.
Okay.
Yes. But it's
So
not. It hasn't been enough of a reason to get
because
them.
they're fun.
Yeah.
yeah.
Goats are fun and funny.
Don't get the fainting goats, I guess. I don't know if you can get those. You see
No, I
one?
Yeah,
feel
but if
bad for
that's
the
the
fainting
angle
goat.
she's going, maybe she
Oh,
absolutely
yeah,
wants
maybe
the
you would get
fainting.
those. Maybe, yeah, you're
But you
Right,
should not
because
use
they're
that
fun
for
or
your own
funny.
entertainment. No, I think it's exploiting the goats.
is the is
I
the chickens
agree.
are the chickens for producing your own eggs or
Yeah, we get eggs
it
from
is?
them.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
also fun to watch. So even if they weren't, a bunch of them don't lay eggs. Yeah, they're just kind of like freeloaders, and they're just
They're
there
just
for
hanging out,
entertainment,
eating the feed.
eating all the food. Yeah.
Do you
Chickens
have
freak
an
me
issue?
out.
Do you have an issue with like the foxes and all that? Because my friend does chickens and she's constantly like, the foxes are getting in, they're trying to kill them, and
Oh no,
no, you're not
luckily.
getting that.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So
So when I
next
lived
would
down there,
be
Brian, fun fact, not only can foxes be an issue, right,
uh
for a predator getting a nice free easy snack from a chicken, but
mm,
also red-tailed hawks.
Yes.
They'll
really?
just if they see chicken and they're hungry, they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna go get this chicken.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
can't let our
Wow.
chickens out roaming because of that.
Yeah.
You're right, Jason. The hawks
Wow.
are everywhere.
So next might be beekeeping, right? For honey, I'm
Could
assuming,
be.
right?
That would be interesting.
Could be. I thought that was a
Ah.
pun. That was awesome.
Oh gosh. I just got where's the drawing? Where's my sound effects button? Need
I
the
know.
drum
Come
roll.
on, man.
No, that's good. I need that. That's next. That's next. We're
We
gonna do
don't have
sound
the
effects.
budget. We don't have a budget. Right.
I know.
Um.
Well, just
That's
to get back to the questions, and one thing I
I
wanted,
don't even remember what I asked you.
you asked if I wanted to ask you anything,
Oh,
and
right.
you
Or
talked a little
Brian.
bit in the beginning about GeoMUG and trying to do different things to build engagement and build the community, but it just kind of made me curious to turn the tables a little bit and have you talk a bit about what you're excited about with GeoMUG. We talked a little bit about kind of the GIS industry and things like that, but what keeps you interested and excited working with GeoMUG and where you see it going?
Right. Number one is my team and the board, right? That, like, Rachel, you're at those meetings, right? It's really an awesome group of people that are, we joked about a budget. There is no budget. We're very nonprofit. Any money we make goes right back into, our mission, right? Which is, if I were to put it in my terms, it is, how can we bring people together? How can we share stories of how GIS is impacting, on a micro or macro level within various types of organizations? I think one of the real strengths of GeoMUG, over the years has been, not only members or participants, but contributors coming from the education sector, coming from the private sector, right? Like Esri, and certainly coming from the public sector. And that's where I spend most of my time. But when you get all those people together, right, or when we're casting our nets out there for presentations, anytime you may think, and maybe you're not thinking this, but you know you have a handle on the industry and what's going on out there or whatever, right? You find this brand new pain, right? That GIS or is touching and solving, right, for a very specific need. And that kind of goes to, you know, what Brian said earlier, and you touched on it, Rachel. Like when you wake up in the morning, you know, we're very blessed to have a job and go to work, but we don't know what we're gonna run into. And being able to be a part of the GeoMUG and in a position to try to share all of that, which at the end of the day, I think that diversity helps make everybody stronger if they're paying attention, because one industry can absolutely learn from another industry, or one company to another company, you know, so on and so forth. So that was a very long-winded answer, and I hope some of it made sense.
Yeah.
But that's what keeps me, you know, keeps me around and keeps me excited and proud, really, to be a part of the Geospatial Mid-Atlantic User Group.
Yeah. I think everyone should be proud of. One thing I wanted to share, you know, my role as the regional manager in the Mid-Atlantic area. It means I get to talk to my counterparts across the country, you know, whether they're in Denver, San Antonio, wherever that might be. And just from what I've learned about, you know, other areas of the country and the GIS community, I'm just really thrilled to be a part of the user community here in the Mid-Atlantic. I think we have one of the best, most connected, most active user groups that I've seen across the country, and having GeoMUG a part of that really is a big part. So that's really, I think, a point of pride for us all.
I would agree. Yeah. Definitely a hand clap there. No doubt about it. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Rachel, because the few times, you know, I've had similar conversations with my counterparts across the country, I don't hear as much about them, you know, a user group style get together or whatever you want to call it, right? It doesn't have to be an Esri thing or a GeoMUG thing, and just an anything.
Right.
And it's just, you know, vibrant gets thrown around, but I think it is vibrant here in the Mid-Atlantic.
Absolutely.
And
just still growing too. Still growing.
That's
which
right.
I think is incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that, Rachel. And we really appreciate you having you know, being a part of GeoMUG and supporting us for many years.
Yes.
Is there anything, you know, this could be personal or professional? I was just wrapping up here. Is there anything that you would share with our audience that you think has made you so successful, right? Career, life, both. Like, you know, what is your, I think of it as like, what do you know you've got, and right, that's helped made you successful?
This might sound a little weird and might require a little explanation. The first thing that comes in my mind is
that's
like,
awesome.
Be a real person. Just be a real person. Like,
I love it.
There's no facade. There's no ego. There's no, you know, none of that. Just be a real person. Be a genuine communicator. Be authentic. You know, push yourself to learn new things and develop. Obviously, I'm not saying rest on your laurels and, you know, this is what you get kind of thing. But just be a real person. You know, we all work with folks where we just can click and have that connection and build that relationship through that authenticity. And I think that's key to everything.
I like that. And I totally agree with that. I think that's really good advice.
Disagree. No one's gonna be like, no, don't be a real person.
Well,
it's good general advice, right?
Maybe that was a layup, but I like the way you said it though. You didn't say be yourself.
Right.
You said be a real person.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. I've been pushing the same vibe with my team as like you just said, who's gonna argue with it? You know, someone asked me what my style was, and someone else helped me with this also. They said genuine and factual. And I said, if you have both, I mean, how can anybody argue with that? If you have the facts and you're genuine, it's almost impossible to like argue against that, you know, that kind of style or character.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing you're saying, being authentic is, I mean, who's gonna argue against that?
And it's, you know, it's helpful to think about what are situations where I might not be authentic or might not feel comfortable being authentic. It's usually when we're kind of self-conscious about something or maybe feeling out of our depth,
Mhm.
and it can be easy to try to play a role or communicate something beyond what's genuine. It's not that we're trying to be inauthentic or trying to, but we're it's just kind of like what we do to try to get through the day sometimes. And
Exactly.
when you can catch yourself and like, hold on, why am I, it's okay to, that leads into all sorts of things. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay not to know things. You don't have to be the expert. I think about this when I work with customers. If a customer is explaining something to me, I'm not just nodding my head. Oh yeah, yep, I get it, I get it. I want to ask questions. I want to understand more. If that's genuinely a question I have, I'm going to ask it. So I think that builds
I,
build relationships that way.
I think that's amazing advice. And you're making me think about, I have the pleasure of just being asked to come back to my university where I graduated from,
so cool. Yeah.
Alfred University in Alfred, New York. And I have been asked to basically share a presentation on life since Alfred University, right? The zigs, the zags, the ups and downs. And it's really, I've started the exercise. It's, oh my gosh, here we are in September. It's like in 3 weeks, but it's really been amazing to look back on, my career. And I would actually urge other people to do that, because if, if there's anything I've learned, it's don't be afraid to, number one, be yourself or be a real person, right? I want to use your words, but to also not be timid when opportunities present themselves, because there have been times in my career where I thought maybe I'm not good enough. I'll be honest with you, Rachel, when I'll keep him unnamed. I don't know why I'm protecting him right now. But when he planted the seed that I could work for Esri, I immediately did not think I was good enough. I did not think I was like, because whatever I had worked up in my head, I didn't think I was smart enough. I know I didn't have the GIS chops, even though I'd been exposed to GIS, in my technology career to that point. But, if I had that mentality of, oh, no, and I listened to that voice and I didn't go through, with things, I never would have ended up working for such an amazing company. So,
and we may not have met.
yes, we definitely wouldn't be having this interview, right? No. Are we leaving anything out, because we're coming to the end of our time here?
No, I don't think so. I think we had a great conversation.
Well, so do I. I have to tell you, I was nervous. Not because of who I have on the phone with me, obviously, right, or the Teams channel here with me, but this is something I'd never done before. So I really appreciate, I had to give myself a little bit of grace. So did you. So did Brian. But I just appreciate your willingness and openness, and
yes.
I almost said be yourself in this, but be a real person mentality. Like it made it very easy. But we're so appreciative of your time, Rachel, and very grateful. And we'll see. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Hopefully in person.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who you talk to next.
I know, me neither. Well, I guess we got to see how this goes, right? And how it's what kind of feedback we get out there in the internets.
But we
and
had
maybe they'll be knocking our doors down, Brian.
That'd be cool.
I mean, you never know. You never know. But we had the idea, Rachel. Just one of them was getting like Sue on here and then talking about, and I guess Brendan too. So they're the I hate to say it like that. We're not supposed to be them. They're the I don't want to say longest. I had to leave the word oldest. I had to leave the word OLD out. But
you say O. I thought you were worried about saying like OG, like the original, like the people.
Yeah, I should have said it like that. I should have said it like that, but they're the longest members, and we want to get like a legacy of how, because I don't know how this whole
hear that story.
Yeah, so I think it'd be great to put that on something like this. But that was one of our ideas. Oh. What happened?
Did you just hang up?
It's okay. Hey,
That
Hey,
was
it's
it.
okay.
We
It's
said our
okay.
thank yous. Yeah, here she
Look,
comes.
she's coming back in. She's coming back in.
Oh my
Hold on.
gosh.
She's coming back in. Hold on.
Was that you or was that her?
Nah. Here she's coming. Here we go.
Now she's on
Good
the other
timing.
side. I love it.
Good timing.
No headset.
It actually sounds pretty good without a headset.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, that's good to know.
Did we
Backup
hang
plan.
up on you or did you
No,
hang up on
when
us?
my headset battery dies, then
Oh.
I don't know why Teams doesn't like that. So
Oh, it's wireless.
yeah,
That
Oh,
is
fancy.
interesting. That's good. That is good to know. Okay.
time
Yeah.
for a new Esri issued headset, I think.
There you go. There you go. I
You have
think
good
that is
reasons.
I think that's a good idea. But I think we're good, guys. Good Labor Day, guys.
Yes,
You
And
too.
thank you again, Rachel.
See you
Thank you,
soon.
Brian.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All right.
Bye, guys. Appreciate
Be
you.
well, everybody.
Bye.